this whole governor's race and the mayor's race and everything, like, I think that we really need someone who's going to actually like make change in the state of California. I don't think that Gavin Newsom's going to run again, right? He hasn't announced.
It might be too late. I'm not entirely sure.
I don't think it's too late, but I don't think he's running again because, like you said, I think he wants to run for president. And if he becomes president, it's over.
If he runs for president, Schellenberger becomes governor of California, that'd actually be really good because.
I mean, he could nullify a lot of.
Yeah. I mean, look at California already doesn't care about a lot of federal laws pertaining to immigration and stuff like that. Like, they just ignore the fuck out of them.
Switch. Yeah. Schellenberger would be like, yeah, bro.
No. Oh, yeah, no, he's not. He's like you when it comes to immigration. He's like, when it comes to immigration, I defer to Obama.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, I love having people come over, but, like, there's a process and you got to follow it, which I agree with. You can't
exactly.
Just, like,
and it's just, again, it's the same thing. Like, how everybody in the United States that's on the left that, like, has this stupid misconception of, like, immigration, think that we're so hard on immigration.
No,
we're so
probably
tough.
The most liberal.
Exactly. We let the most people in the entire
Try
world.
becoming a citizen anywhere in Europe. Oh, my God.
Exactly. It's like California has the most lenient immigration laws.
The U.S. in general.
Yeah, compared to, like, any other country.
Dude, have you ever looked at, like, the immigration process for, like, I don't remember if it was Japan or Korea? It's super daunting.
Oh, yeah,
It
because
makes, like,
certain I think it was like Japan. They really don't want you to, like, come there. They really don't want you to immigrate
They're
there.
super homogenous, and they've been like that for forever. Like,
yeah.
Even if you do become, like, unless you're a super valuable asset, even if you do become a citizen, like, banks still might give you loans and shit like that, apparently. Because they're going to be like, you're not Japanese.
That's my point. I mean, everybody loves to point the finger at certain nations for certain things, and I love how it's like, hey, you'll see he's always talking about Europe and Ben Shapiro, Bernie Sanders. He's talking about, well, these European countries can do it. Why can't we? And it's like, you guys are always pointing to, like, these predominantly white countries that are not, like, that do not reflect the United States at all, and they're not exactly what you're saying, right? It's like the United States is the most diverse country in the entire world, right? We have the most anti-racism laws. We have the best immigration practices compared to others. It's like, it's insane. And I'm actually interested to see, like, what would he even do about immigration if he became governor? Like, would he be on the whole ICE can come back in and deport all these? Like, what do you think he would do?
I have no clue. I don't remember from, like, the stuff I saw, I don't remember what he said in terms of immigration. But I feel like people who have already established a life here, it'd be kind of fucked up to kick them out. So you kind of just... You gotta let him. You might have to let him stay.
No, so my whole, like, plan on, like, if I were to be governor, right, which nobody really gives a fuck about, but, like, you know, if I were to be governor, what I would do...
50,000 comments. I'm okay. I'm voting for you.
Write in candidate right here. Now, if I were governor, essentially what I would do is put them on a plan in order to become citizens in the sense of saying, like, hey, for 1 year, all the people that are in the state of California...
That's a little too short. Maybe. I think 2 years.
No, you haven't even heard my proposal.
You're saying you're gonna put them on a plan?
No. How about you let me finish my sentences?
My bad.
Okay, so what I'm saying is basically in 1 year, you basically have this 1 year grace period and say, like, hey, you have, like, 1 year if you're an illegal immigrant to sign up with the DMV or whatever. You have to get an ID, and it'll, like, specifically state that, like, okay, you're, like, a non-citizen and you have, like, a California ID, whatever. So that way we can see how many, like, illegal immigrants there are in the state of California first. Right? And then after that year, you would basically say, okay, like, we're not going to allow any more illegal immigrants to come to the state of California in the sense of, like, yeah, if you guys hop the border, if you overstay your visa, you're just going to get deported, right? So all the people that are already here, like you said, that have lived here, built a life here, they're going to have the opportunity to basically pay taxes and, like, show that they want to be here. And they still have to go through the regular process, which is, like, waiting 5 years to even start the classes and all that kind of stuff, right? So I'm open to that in the sense of, you know, at least document them, see how many there are, and then, you know, impose laws saying, like, hey, if you don't commit any felonies, you know, you don't break into cars, you don't steal, you know, like, not the stupid traffic ticket, like, oh, you got a traffic ticket, it's over, you know, but...
You don't like traffic laws.
Yeah, I really don't. But, you know, just something like that where it's a system in place where it's like, hey, if you do bad and you're an illegal immigrant, you're gonna get deported, you can't come back. But the people that actually do want to stay here and become citizens, let's document them, put them on this plan. They have to wait their 5 years and whatever. Because at the end of the day, it's like you're going to deport like 6 million people or something. Like California,
that's a lot. That's gonna be a huge strain on.
That's what I'm saying. It's like the amount of money we'll spend. Excuse me. The amount of money we'll spend just to deport all of them, it will be astronomical. So it's just like, why don't we just document them and then let them know, like, hey, if you commit any like serious crimes, you will be deported. You won't be able to become a citizen. And then obviously, if now that they're documented, they can pay taxes and all kinds of stuff like that. I'm open to that. I mean,
I like that. That's similar to what I was thinking. I think the details were kind of different, but that makes sense as well. Yeah, back to Schellenberger because we got off topic, but it's sort of the same thing. From what I've seen, like he wants to solve homelessness. Like he's saying, like we're spending way too much, and like the amount of shit. Like he was saying shit like I don't remember if it was him or Colion Noir at one point that brought up people that have specific wages. Like there are some people whose job it is to like in terms of like homelessness, like they have like they have a salary that's like hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like I think one person got paid like $225,000 or some shit like that. So he's like, look, he was like, I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna fire a bunch of people because they're all doing this wrong.
Essentially, like same thing. Like if I was in that position, like I'd agree with him. I would literally like lay off the entire department. I would immediately stop all the donations to all the nonprofits, like from the state.
Yeah.
I'd have the state stop supporting them, and I'd just have the state do exactly what they're supposed to do and build the housing.
Oh yeah, no, that's literally what he was saying. He was like, yeah, we only have to spend. He was like, we have to spend. He was like, that one person's like fucking expensive salary could go to like a bunch of shit. He said something to the effect of, when I become governor, I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna do a bunch of audits and figure out what's going on because there's no reason why.
Well, this is the thing. Like whoever becomes governor, I think the first thing that anybody needs to do when they become in like if they actually want to make change,
audits. Yeah.
Not even audits, but limiting power of politicians, right? And essentially what I mean is bribery is just not even bribery, but just like
it's so easy to do.
Everything that they're like embezzlement and bribery and all the things that these city council members in LA have been getting charged with and all kinds of stuff like that. It's so easy because it's essentially like, it's a thing like if I tell you right now, hey man, go rig that election, like you can't do it. Even if I said I'll give you $10 million because there's no way you know how. Right. But then you go to like, it's the same thing. Like if you go to the people who run the machines and you say, I'll give you $10 million to rig this election, they can do it. And so essentially what I'm saying is,
not that happened or anything.
Not that happened. I'm saying like in the sense of government, like we need to limit what politicians can do. Because essentially Gavin Newsom spending $12 billion on homelessness, $6 billion a year, and that's just unchecked. And we have no idea exactly where the funds are going. It's like,
that's too much, yeah.
Yeah, nah, that should not be possible.
If you want to spend anywhere over, I think $500 million, that needs to be open books.
No, if they want to spend over $100 million, if they want to spend over $10 million, if they want to spend a fucking dollar, I want to know where it goes. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Like the sheer amount of money that the state of California makes and spends, like people just do not think about. That's why I absolutely hate when people talk to me about the rich need to pay more taxes and all this shit. It's like, do you understand?
The top 1% pays for like, I think
they
like
pay
40 to 50% of taxes.
Yeah, income tax in the state of California. And it's like, it's like, do you understand what they do with the money? Because it's like, if you understood what they do with the money that they throw away, that they waste, it's like, then you wouldn't have that same thing of like, let's tax the rich because you know that they're misusing funds, right? And so essentially with Michael Schellenberger, I'd be really interested to see like how he would implement that. And I do think that a lot of people that are going to run on a similar platform to him, because that's what all the Democrats basically run as, Democrats and independent run as. But it's essentially like, who's going to actually do it, right? Because essentially this guy, he has all these great ideas, but I mean, I'm sure Gavin Newsom sounded the exact same way when he was running for governor as well. And look at what he did. Nothing, So it's kind of like.
We also wrote a book. The reason why I'm more intrigued in him is because he was on Rogan, and Rogan usually doesn't have on people that are full of shit. I don't think he's ever had on anyone that was full of shit except for like Jack Dorsey.
Sanjay Gupta.
Well, that was a confrontational podcast, but yeah, he was on Timcast. He wrote Schellenberger wrote a book called San Francisco, where he literally he did a deep dive into like homelessness, where he went around and he interviewed hundreds of homeless people. He found out that most of them weren't from the state, and like this, supposedly according to the people that he interviewed, this idea that like homeless people, for like by and large, are people who are just down bad on luck, isn't true. It's like people with habitual problems. There's a large percent of them that are people with habitual addiction problems and they're like homeless encampments are really just drug scenes where they openly trade drugs to minors and shit like that.
Yeah, no, I've seen a lot of that stuff. Like that one dude in San Francisco got interviewed and was like bragging about like selling fentanyl to a 14-year-old and like a 17-year-old. It's like,
yeah,
and he was like, yeah, you guys pay for my Netflix. I have food stamps, so I have food. Like I don't worry about shit. And again, that's like my whole thing with
yeah, he said the same thing. It makes California makes it easy to be a homeless person.
California makes it easy to just
Game the system
because now the transgender, they're gonna pay people $900 for being transgender.
And that's it. Just being transgender.
I mean, you guys should check out our other video where we go in depth about the $900 transgender payments in the state of California. We'll go more in detail there, but especially like the single mothers get $1,000 a month. It's like you guys need to institute like a plan to get them off of it, right? You need to institute,
right?
Hey, if you're making over like $40,000-$50,000 a year, you shouldn't be on this plan, right? Like, you can only be on this plan for X amount of years, right? If your income changes, you're off the plan.
It's just free money that people,
exactly, and that's the thing that I hate about like Democrats. Again, as an independent, I look at this stuff and I'm like, government assistance can help if you do it correctly.
Right.
If you make it an open-end program where there's no way you're ever going to want to get off of it, then you are literally incentivizing people to like game the system. I mean, like, especially now, since in the state of California, nobody can tell you what your gender is, right? In a lot of other states, like it's basically illegal. Like you cannot say what someone is and what they aren't. So essentially, I could say I'm transgender and now get $900 from the government, which is just me gaming. Which would be me just gaming the system.
There are for sure people who are gonna do whatever they want to game the system to get any means to get what they want. Like there was that one dude who was a sexual offender and went into
the bathhouses.
Yeah, and he was just like, I'm trans, and
he wasn't, and he would like. He got charged with like public indecency and like
beforehand.
And
he was just waving his dick around the whole time.
Yeah, like in front of women and everything, and
in
like
front of little girls.
Too. Yeah.
That was a problem. So yes, there are individuals that are gonna game the system, and if you want to implement something like that, I don't have a problem with it. But you're gonna have to. You need to make a good reason why as to what it is and how to get people off of this thing.
Exactly. That's why like Andrew Yang for me, in his whole UBI pitch, it's like, yeah, bro, I get it. But people are going to game the out of the system.
Yeah.
So it's just like you need to institute controls. Like I would support Andrew Yang if he had an actual plan to be like, here's how we're going to get people off of UBI. Here's how we're going to, classify who gets UBI, all of that stuff, right? Because essentially there's plenty.
I think he might have at one point. I'm not sure.
Not specifically to the point of like what I specifically want of like, hey, the minute you pass this income, hey, like if you qualify for this, like let's say you're already on X amount of programs, you're on food stamps, this, like we're not going to add you to another, like to a seventh, government assistance program. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And again, I'm talking about this in the state of California specifically because there's so many different programs that like people in other states just don't understand that we have here. So yeah, I mean, just as long as I'm fine with like government assistance as long as we do what we need to do, but especially now when you have like homeless people on the streets and you're like, we're gonna give mothers $1,000 a month, single mothers $1,000 a month, we're gonna give transgender people $900 a month. It's like, and you're gonna spend $6 billion and homelessness isn't gonna end. Like, come on, dude.
Yeah, I mean that's again a reason why I like Schellenberger because like he actually laid out a plan. He was like, no, we're gonna get these people in rehabilitation, like homeless people in rehabilitation, and we're going to show them how to be independent and how to get away from their addictive tendencies.
But see, that's the thing. I don't think he understands like the gravity of that. Like,
no. He went and I should have explained that better. He went to European countries. I can't remember the name of which ones, where they specifically have like really good success rates, where they take homeless people off and they completely rehabilitate them and
see, look, I'm fine with that. I just personally want the government to build the housing, and like I said, in San Bernardino.
Oh yeah, no, he has. I don't know if he said specifically San Bernardino, but he was like, we're gonna build housing for these people because they can't be on the streets. Like, fucking, you can't have this super high rise place in Venice. Well, it wouldn't be high rise. You can't have these really nice apartments in Venice Beach, and then like on the floor below have like 20 homeless people pissing and shitting on the sidewalk.
Yeah,
That's
I
just
mean,
not like conducive of a productive society.
that's what I'm saying. Like I said, to reiterate, I'd literally
Or
just
like a society that cares about its citizens.
exactly, and that's what I'm saying. For me, I would immediately cut funding to all the nonprofits from the state of California, and I would immediately, like that $6 billion, it would go to building a complex that would be like a multi-tier thing of like, okay, you have the housing, but then there's also a rehabilitation facility like on site, so that these people can go like to these where they're sleeping basically and be like, hey, we're gonna help you get a job. Hey, you're addicted. We're
Oh
gonna
yeah,
send
no,
you to
yeah, he
rehab.
talked about that. He was like, we're gonna show you how to fill out job applications and shit like that.
Yeah.
Show you how to like. Well, I already mentioned the addictive stuff. And then he also did say like, we're not just gonna give you open-ended money. I think this is from his Rogan interview.
I don't think that they should give him any money. I think essentially
No, yeah, he was saying like it's not gonna just be open-ended, like infinite amount of resources. Like you're gonna have to do drug tests regularly, and if you break them, then you can't be a part of the program. And shit
But
like
see
that.
that's what I don't like, because essentially, if you're dealing with people with addiction, like some of them, a lot of them could relapse, right? What I personally think is, hey, if you get drug tested and you failed, you go back to rehab. That's it. I don't think you should be kicked out of the program. I think you got to go to rehab, get clean,
no.
and come back.
That I should explain that better. He was saying like if you're moved from rehab to this part of to the next step of the program, and then you have a relapse, they would send you back to rehab.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I should.
I mean,
that
like
better.
I said, he sounds like a good candidate, but like I said, there's going to be so many people running for governor in the state of California that I really kind of need to just get a good idea of like all the other candidates.
He's also independent, so that might hurt him in terms of polls.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't really trust polls because at the end of the day, there's no poll that can accurately just.
I mean, yeah, look at the most recent election. They were way the fuck off in some states.
I mean, no, but just in general, overwhelming. Like I don't like polls are irrelevant because of statistics. Like you can't poll the majority of the population, so most of the time it's just like this recent poll showed that 69% of America. It's like 69% of 5,000 people. Like no,
you can get there are some polls that are scientifically really, really good because they get a good enough sample size from all populations.
But that takes a lot of time.
But there's also a lot of weighted polls that a lot of news companies. And
well,
do
that's
like
what I'm saying. When it comes to politics, most of the overwhelming majority of the polls are like inaccurate, right? Like even if they polled 500,000 people in California, it's like there's 40 million people. That does not represent the population size at all, right? So. Whenever I see polls, I don't really pay too much attention to them because as soon as I actually look at the poll and I see the number of people they interviewed, it's like irrelevant. It's irrelevant. So I just think whoever is like Schallenberger, who's going to actually put what they say into practice and actually do what they need to do, then I have no problem supporting them.
Quick disclaimer: we are not like. This is just our opinion, and we are not telling you who to vote for. We would never do that. But that brings us to this end of this topic. So if you like this, why don't you check out this other video where we talk about the state giving out $900 to people for being transgender, or this other video. Oh, the academy is full of shit, and this Will Smith situation. And we'll see you guys next time. Peace.